The Air Pro 2 are the third buds from Earfun that we've tested, and we've usually been impressed with their offerings. But we've given the Edifier Neobuds Pro a glowing review. It's time for a full comparison of two buds that are redefining what value is. Goedendag, we're DHRME, Dutch honesty reviewers, masters of excellence. Usually at lower price points, you expect the build quality to have some compromises, but that isn't the case with these two buds. Both these buds come with a stem-shaped design, but we've got to say that the Neobuds Pro have tried a little harder at going for an original look with its sharp angles and faux metal design. The Earfun Air Pro 2 is safe and slightly boring, looking very generic in many ways. The Earfun's case is slightly smaller, but not by much, and the earbuds seem solid, whereas the Edifiers are lighter. However, in terms of comfort, both the buds seemed very similar. Very comfortable, and both were fairly secure in terms of fit. And if you're wondering how long you'll last before you'll have to charge the buds in the case or charge the case itself, then the slight edge here goes to the Earfun Air Pro 2. The buds themselves hold a charge of 6 hours with ANC on, and the case comes with an additional 24 hours. As opposed to the Edifier, which come with around 5 hours with ANC on and 15 from the case. Both Edifier and Earfun went the generous route with its ear tips and provided plenty of them in the box. The Neobuds Pro come with 6 pairs, all made from silicone, but of different sizes. And the Air Pro 2 come with 2 sets of 3 sizes, one set being smooth on the tip, whereas the other set has a sub-angular shape, supposedly to help fit different kinds of ear canal shapes. We assume you should be able to get a comfortable and secure fit with the tips included in the box, and that might encourage you to get a little bit active. In that case, you'll be glad to know that the Edifier is rated at IP54 and the Earfun at IPX5. Now, what this means in plain English is that the Edifiers are water, sweat, and dust resistant, whereas the Earfuns are only water and sweat resistant.
When it comes to extras, both these buds are extra nice. You get noise cancelling and wireless charging. More on the noise cancelling in a bit, but only the Earfun have an ear sensor to automatically pause your music when you take your buds out of your ears. On the other hand, the Edifier has a low latency 80 millisecond gaming mode, which the Earfun doesn't. Where the difference is obvious is one area, the app.
The Edifier Neobuds Pro has a full-featured app where you can tweak sound, noise cancelling, and the controls. So they win, right? Well, not really. Rowan and I had a conversation recently about all the permissions Edifier asks from the app. This included embedding certain APIs within the app, like WeChat, which has nothing to do with sound or earbud customization. Even a firmware upgrade required us to sideload an app. Spoiler alert, we're not upgrading our firmware. So if you're worried that you're trading your data for a cheaper device, then the Earfun Air Pro 2 is a better choice since it just does not come with an app. It has all the controls on the buds, including volume, which worked very well for us on calls as well as listening to audio. And you can always use third-party apps like Wavelet for EQing. And when it comes to ANC, you can switch between active noise cancelling and transparency mode. So having an app is great, but it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Well, we've been big fans of the Neobuds Pro when it came to sound, and that hasn't changed. They have that big bass, very much like the Bowers & Wilkins PI7, but man, the Earfuns are really bringing it. The new titanium composite drivers are something special. Continuing with the hardware, the Earfuns give you 2 types of tips, and although visually they're virtually indistinguishable, sonically they make a difference. So be sure to try both if you're getting these buds. It might change your experience completely. Also, Earfun, here's a design tip for you. How about you give different colors to the rings on the tips so I don't keep getting them mixed up? But we do appreciate Earfun solving a problem using hardware rather than an app. Onto the sound. The Earfuns bring solid bass, decent soundstage, and overall for me it feels like it's tuned just right. Especially with vocals. It gives you a very intimate sound, highlighting the right transients in the voice. Well-produced vocals sound great. Guitars also cut through the mix most of the time, whether on a classic like Cliffs of Dover or a modern recording like Goat from Polyphia, with the treble sometimes being more forward than I'd like. I'll be honest, both of these are tuned for fun and not for accuracy, so don't expect a Shure-like neutral sound. But you know what? When I'm out and about, I want to enjoy my music, That's what I'm looking for. What this does mean is that you won't get very accurate or natural timbre representation on either. Think of it as a photograph with the saturation and contrast turned up just a little to make it pop. We tested both of them over AAC because let's face it, LHDC isn't as popular yet. The volume on both is quite loud, just about 50% on a Mac makes both of them pretty loud for me. The Earfuns lay emphasis on the mid and the treble and are a brighter set of earbuds in general than the Edifier, which lean towards a darker bass mid-forward kind of sound. The treble is crisp on the Earfuns but a bit complicated. Here's a frequency response chart. It's not quite sibilant, for example hi-hats sound crisp, but there's something funny going on in the other treble frequencies. The Earfuns are great buds for a wider soundstage and for music without too many instruments. I particularly enjoyed listening to jazz. Stacey Kent's rendition of Les Amours Perdus, sorry French, was perfect for these earbuds. The Edifier definitely delivers more bass and has 2 modes in the app as well as a 3-band EQ. But which one do I prefer for sound? Surprise, it's the Earfun. The tips have to be fussed with, the treble can be a little bit irritating, there's no EQ, but the sound signature out of the box is just more pleasing and balanced to my ears than the Neobuds Pro, which lean towards a darker, bassier sound. Now, let's just be clear, both these buds sound great, so I doubt you'll have regrets buying either. The one thing I must add about the Earfuns is that the ANC definitely changes the sound signature a bit. I prefer the sound without ANC on. And speaking of ANC, the Edifier clearly cancels out more sound than the Earfun, as is evidenced by what's on the box, minus 42 dB versus minus 40 dB. But don't let that number fool you. The decimal scale is a logarithmic scale, which means 42 dB something like twice as quiet as 40 dB or something. If it's wrong, please correct us in the comments. However, if you listen to music at even low volumes, that difference won't matter as much. But still a very impressive job by Edifier. The Earfun's transparency is way better without the weird artifacting you can hear on the Edifier. But don't take our word for it, here are some tests.
Noise cancelling. Ambient sound. High noise cancellation. Low noise cancellation. Ambient sound. Normal mode. Noise cancelling. Ambient sound. High noise cancellation. Ambient sound. Normal mode.
The thing to listen for is if you can hear my voice. And now silence. See if you can notice white noise. Alright, this is the Edifier Neobuds Pro. You listen to my voice, is it audible? Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. And now listen to the white noise. Can you hear some strange artifacting? I'm now going to turn down the ambient noise slider. What do you hear? Do you hear my voice? Do you hear the neighbors drilling like hell has come down on? When it comes to calls, there's a big difference in receiving calls between the two. Here's how Kevin's voice sounded when I listened on the Edifier versus the Earfun, followed by a microphone test with my voice in quiet and windy conditions.
Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Earfun Air Pro 2. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. What do you think of the mic quality? We are not sure which one wins. Let us know in the comments down below. So what do we at DHRME recommend between these two? The Edifier Neobuds Pro are still a great deal with excellent sound that deliver that thump in your rump bass. They have a design that stands out, a low latency mode, an app that lets you tweak that sound, and outstanding noise cancelling. But at 2/3 that price, if you're one to need that little bit extra when it comes to sound quality, better transparency mode, and auto pause feature, then we have to recommend the Earfun Air Pro 2.
You've been trying to get your money's worth, and we've been DHRME. Namaste.